Now let's talk about something that nobody really likes to admit. And this is, well, the addiction that nobody wants to admit. And the main idea of this is most traders aren't building wealth, they're trading for that next dopamine hit. And it's behavioral addiction disguised with ambition. And nobody wants to admit that they're not chasing success, they're just chasing the feeling of that, the fucking dopamine hit you get from winning a trade, and so on. And the worst part about this is you can be profitable and still be an addict. Which, I mean, good for you, but not good for your behavior, essentially. You're not studying the charts at 2 a.m. because you're dedicated. You're not checking your phone You're not looking at the chart for 2 hours at a time. Not because you're monitoring your positions or managing risk. You do it to chase that feeling, that next rush, and when you enter that position, when you take profit, it's just this overall dopamine rush that you get. And it's not that you're like, it's not focus, it's your body literally craving dopamine from getting this reward, so-called reward. And the anxiety you get when you aren't getting a trade, or you haven't traded hot all week and you're itching to take that next trade, you're excited for, like, fucking hell. Side note, I don't understand why. I mean, I do understand, but like, people are like, "Oh, being a trader sucks because your weekends are boring and you're just waiting for Monday." Bro, that's the fucking problem. You're waiting for Monday. You're waiting for the next dopamine hit when you can, like, oh, fucking hell. Anyway, um, the anxiety that you feel when you're waiting for a trade, when you're in that anticipating something is going to happen, that's not out of boredom. That's like a withdrawal symptom of this dopamine addiction that you have. And you're convincing yourself that you're ambitious, that it's just ambition, that you're just hungry. Like, you're that guy, right? You're trying to escape the matrix, but you're fucking always going to be stuck in a matrix. Um, your brain just knows it's an addiction. You can convince yourself all you want. Your brain just wants the dopamine. So it's almost like the market has become its own slot machine or poker machine for you, right? And just like any other addict, you've built an entire identity around trying to justify this as being ambitious. Does it sound familiar? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, maybe this doesn't align with you. I know it aligns with me because I was a bit, still am sometimes, but that's besides the point. It's like when you're saying, I'm building my business, I'm working on my future, I'm being disciplined. If you strip away every single piece of trading terminology and focus on your actual behaviors of what you're actually doing, what does that look like? Like, you're constantly checking, you know, emotional highs and lows. And sometimes you can't even stop, even when you want to. And that's not even being an entrepreneur. That's not being a trader. That's just like a fucking addiction with a Bloomberg terminal. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't start as addiction, it just starts as this curiosity, like this opportunity to achieve something, like this ambition that I was talking about. And that first winning trade gives you a hit, like, and unlike anything else, that first payout, that first funded account, you know, like the hit you, the hit you get from that, like I call it, like, every time I used to take a win in my early days, I'd be straight onto carsales.com. What car, like, genuinely, what car can I afford? If I keep this up, what car am I going to buy next week? I'm going to buy a fucking 488 Pista next week. Never happened, by the way. But that hit you get from that is just ridiculous. And it's not even just the money, it's the validation and the control and that possibility, and you looking forward thinking, wow, this is crazy. You're like, holy shit, I can just print money like it's nothing. And that feeling is so intoxicating because it touches something like primal in our brain. It like tickles that part that's like, you know, the caveman brain, essentially. And most people will spend their lives trading time for money, feeling powerless. But trading makes you feel powerful because you've just made like 2 or 3 grand in like half an hour. And you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? But so you will constantly keep chasing that feeling. And I always tell people, go and read The Psychology of Money. I think that's the title. Yeah, Psychology of Money. And it's a book I recommend to everyone. And it always talks about how you can make money, but will you keep that money is a completely different story to making money. That's why, like, even in my last video, I think I said it. That's why I tell people not to fucking put these influencers on a pedestal. Don't even put me on a pedestal. We're the same, like, I could lose everything I have tomorrow, you know? I don't have negative balance protection on my accounts. If I get slipped to fucking Antarctica, like, I'll lose everything in that account. You know, and it's humbling to know that. But early on in this journey, you'll tell yourself that it's always about learning. It's about building that skill, $1 million skill. And when you notice what happens when you're forced to kind of step away, you can't focus on anything else except trading. Like, you step away from the charts, you go to school or you go to uni or you go to work, and your mind is just ticking. Oh, fair value gap. like constantly. I used to drive around and, for instance, look at like number plates on cars, and it would be like, you'd see BOS and you're like, oh my God, it's a breaker structure. Like, just shit like that. You don't even realize that it's happening to you. That's not even, like, that's not passion. That's dependency forming in real time. And now your brain has learnt that trading equals dopamine. And now it just wants more. So you're just stuck on this fucking flywheel of chasing your tail. Now, signs that you are an addict. You might be. We all might be. Who knows? You know when you're an addict because you can't not trade. Like, you can't sit there and not take a trade, even when you should. Even when your plan says no trade, you've got a checklist, right? You've read everything, you've ticked everything off except for one thing. Your plan says no trade, but you take one anyone. But you take a trade anyway because you need that. You need something. You need some kind of hit, you know. And you feel anxious and irritable and restless. You start twitching. Your leg starts like you just start moving. Like you just can't. You can't like. How do I say it? Like being flat feels like you're missing out on not just trades, but it feels like you're missing out on life. Like that dopamine. You want that dopamine. And even checking charts when you're with family or when you're like just switched off with friends, like shit like that. You're out with friends. Oh, I need to check the charts. Oh, I'm gonna look for something. Like, bro, just take it, like, chill. Seriously. And again, it's not because you need to, it's because you can't not do it. Like, you genuinely just can't go an hour without checking what the Nasdaq's doing. And it's Asia session and just checking the Nasdaq, like, like hypothetically, like, yeah, I hope not. And it gets to a point where you start blowing accounts, and then you vow to yourself that you'll stop and you'll change, and then you'll go and do it again, and these highs get shorter because depending on your account size gets smaller. Let's say, for example, you're on a personal account and your account size keeps getting smaller. So you need to risk more to get that same hit that you were getting in the first place. And then risking more, and then you lose, and then it just like it's just a spiral downwards. And it gets to a point where you're not even trading for profit, you're trading for that proof that you're right, just to feel alive. Again, dopamine. That's all it is. Even when, you isolate yourself and it gets deeper, like your relationships are suffering, your health's declining, but trading continues. Right, it's like it's like you're a crackhead, like genuinely. And you just need that next hit, and you'll do anything for that next hit. You know, and even like if I came up to you today and said to you, you can't trade, you're not allowed to take a trade for 1 month. How would you feel in that moment? Would you be like, oh, what the fuck? No. What the fuck? No. Or would you be like, okay, that's cool. I'll have the next month. Like how you react to someone asking you that question will determine everything, basically. And I'm not just saying like, oh, like someone will physically take your account away from you for a month. Like how would that, like definitely, like ask yourself this and try not to sit there and be like, I would be fine with that. Like genuinely look at yourself for once. And the most dangerous type is the profitable addict. And then you always say to yourself, how can I be an addict if I'm winning? It's like ask ask a crackhead how no, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, profitability doesn't mean you're not addicted, it just means you're a functional addict. It's basically like an alcoholic or someone who smokes weed every day still keeps their job, but they need they need to go smoke a joint in their break, or like they need to drink after work. Like you're profitable, but you can't stop. And you've hit that monthly goal by, the 10th or the 15th or something. But you keep trading. And not because you need that more money, it's because you need that stimulation. And this can, like, it can be, thinking about it, it could be a good thing if you're actually, like, locked in. But it can also be a really fucking bad thing if you're not. But the profitable addict, they could take the rest of the month off, but to preserve the money that they've made, but that, like, it's just unbearable to them. They physically can't do it. And so they'll keep going and give back their gains. And then they're like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have done that. I'll stop now. And they've just lost like 2% or 3% or whatever. Basically, what I'm saying is your life kind of revolves around market hours, and you can't plan trips, you can't commit to events, you can't be present with people like in your life because your brain wants the next hit of that next trade. That's not why we trade. We trade for freedom, and that's not freedom. That's another that's a 9 to 5 job that pays a lot of money. Realistically, you're a slave to the charts. That's all it is. And it's so hard to see yourself in this place, because the reason trading addiction is so insidious is because it's socially acceptable, and nobody will intervene for someone who's working on their trading or working on their business. I'm an entrepreneur, and society loves to celebrate that obsession with when it looks like you're being ambitious, you have ambition. It's like, no, I'm not gambling, I'm analyzing markets. You're not compulsive, you're dedicated, and you're not chasing dopamine. You're seizing opportunities. It's the language will disguise behavior. Plus, you can make a lot of money. So that validates basically everything. So your brain will give you permission to keep going. Keep going. Your family will walk in, sees you on your computer, thinks you're working, but you've just been scrolling on Reels for 2 hours. And you've just taken 5 losses in a row. Because you're trying to get dopamine, and then you're getting dopamine off Reels. That's a whole nother side note, but deep down, if you're really honest with yourself, you know you're not really in control. The trading is controlling you. And yes, we trade for money. Like, I don't want to sit here and be like, no, we only trade for freedom. No, we trade for money as well. If you were trading for freedom, like, I don't know. Doesn't really, like, the money, like the freedom is the byproduct of the money that you make. So if you're trading for freedom, how are you going to get that freedom with not making money? Like, it's bullshit, right? I'm not here to like sugarcoat shit. But the cost of this addiction is not just the money. It's your fucking nervous system. Your whole nervous system is just fried. Your baseline anxiety sits so high, and it's just through the roof because your brain is always in threat mode. And this genuinely happened to me. I was in threat mode all the time, and I would be driving my car to the beach, for example, and I'd have a panic attack. And I would be like, what was that? It just comes out of nowhere because my baseline anxiety was so high and I was so stressed out. I always thought I was being threatened by something because I was, addicted to getting dopamine from trading. And every notification that you get could be important. Every price movement matters. And so all these things kind of add up and compound to a point where you can't relax anymore. And your body doesn't remember how to actually relax. It's your, even, this can go like deeper into like relationships with your spouse, with your parents, with your friends, with your children, even your children. Like, I don't have kids, but if you are at that stage, this can, it's a massive snowball effect. And I don't know, it gets to a point where you're physically present but you're just mentally absent because you're just so fucking mentally fried from trading. And I speak from this with experience. And people always come to me and they're like, I'm gonna start trading. I'm gonna lock in. And I always say to them, like, if I'm honest, do it if you want to. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yes, bro, it's the best thing ever. Because I like myself going down a path like this really just fried me, and it can fry anyone. So I don't want to be the person that says, yeah, bro, get into trading, it's so good, it's so rewarding, and then they go down like this path where it's like, no. Do you know what I mean though? It's like, I don't want to be responsible for that. And you've kind of collapsed your entire self into being a trader. So if trading goes away, who are you? And that existential kind of, I don't know, scaredness tends to keep you trapped in this like cage, basically. Like it goes as deep as like, this is your health, this is your sleep, this is your like that's how deep it can go. And it means you're missing out on so much in relationships, experiences, growing in other areas. Like, I'm sorry to get so deep, but like it's genuinely true if you don't know when to say when, basically. So how do you actually break free? How do you actually recover from this cycle? First, you need to be upfront with yourself and say, yes, I am addicted. And it's not just a passion project or being dedicated. And stop kind of romanticizing trading. You need to really, I always go back to the same kind of principles with trading. And then one of the main ones is self-awareness. Because at the end of the day, it is only you. You're the only person that can make this work. You're the only person that can fuck it up as well. So you have to almost force yourself to take breaks. And that's not even optional. You need to. And you need to teach your brain that it's okay to not trade. You can go get dopamine from going out in nature, going for a walk on the beach, like doing simple shit, like simple, real dopamine. And one thing I also will say, start your weekends completely off. Don't review, like people always like, yeah, I'm using my weekend to, review my week, and review your week at the end of a Friday. When you finish trading on a Friday, review the whole week. Boom, done. Shut off. That's it. Go fucking live your weekend. You know? Like, take a fucking day off. Especially with trading. Use it to reset. Yeah. It will almost feel like unbearable at first when you try and do it, but that's the whole point. You kind of need to see how hooked you actually are. It gets really bad sometimes. And you need to kind of learn how to rewire this reward process. Did I follow my plan? That should be the only metric that matters. Did you win? No. Did you trade according to your rules? Yes. Perfect. Win. It's that process, like following the process over the outcome. That's what you need to focus and teach your brain. That is dopamine. Because that's the only way you will achieve anything in this space over the long term. Over the long term. And another thing, you can diversify your identity. Don't just label yourself as a trader. It can't be the only thing that defines you. You need to find other sources of meaning and fulfillment and identity, whether that's hobbies or fitness or cars or fucking anything, bro. Things that have nothing to do with the markets. And it's hard because trading has become like your entire world. But if you don't do this, you'll just stay trapped. And another really important thing is have hours that you stick to. So I trade me personally, I trade in like hour to hour and a half blocks at a time throughout the day. And that's it. That's the only time I will look at, well, yes, I might look in between, but depends on what's happening, right? But if we're talking just proper trading, I'll jump on half an hour before a session, do my pre-session markup, and then wait for the trade to come to me. I'm not going to sit there. The more you analyze something, the less likely it's probably going to play out. Because if you're sitting there just constantly justifying the trade, then that's a problem. I can talk about that in another video, but basically what I'm trying to say, when your time is up, stop. Maximum amount of trades per day, max loss limits, max win limits, and that's not even a suggestion. Like, you should have that down. You should have that in your risk plan. And most importantly, like, just be honest with someone. Be honest with anybody, like anyone that you trade with, any friend, anyone on Discord, me, fucking message me on Instagram. Anyone who can basically call you out on your bullshit. Because addiction, like, thrives in secrecy. You know? Like gambling. Like, you're sitting in your room gambling, or you, I don't know, go to the casino by yourself because you don't want people to know you're an addict. Or you just smoke. Nah, that's too far. So when someone else kind of knows, you can't lie to yourself as easily. And, you know, the bottom line is this addiction is a real thing. And it's not about whether you're profitable or not. It's about whether you are in control or whether trading controls you. And can you walk away? Can you be flat without anxiety? Can you live your life without fucking constantly thinking about if NQ has just swept a previous day high or some bullshit, you know? And, you know, the first step is admitting that you are in this cycle of being an addict. I hate labeling it like it's something like you're a fucking addict, you know. It sounds really bad, but it is true. And the first step is to recognize it. Because once you like see it clearly, you can actually do something about it. But the longer you call it ambition, and the longer you say, you know, it's not an addiction, this is bullshit, this video is bullshit, the longer you say that, the longer you'll stay trapped for, and the more help you need later down the line. So I think that's it. I've covered everything, so that's a fucking long one, but cool.